Hi, so for today's project we're going to get started on this Gargantuan red dragon. So this guy is also a Whiz Kids, but this is from the Pathfinder Battles series and as part of the Deep Cut Unpainted Miniatures. And again, like I said, he is a Gargantuan red, so not as old and big as the ancient red that resides on my bookshelf behind me. As usual, we're going to be using the Army Painter Dungeons & Dragons official paint line, the Adventures paint set, and the Monsters paint set. I tend to use inks from both. I also use a wet palette, which is a special piece of paper that has been wet down and placed over a damp sponge, and that helps the inks to remain nice and moist. And you can actually seal the container and put that aside for later. I also have a wonderful variety of brushes, and in order to keep the brushes clean, I have water and a sponge and paper towels to take care of all that. Now, the specific colors that I'm planning on using, I was going to go with a similar, if not the same, color palette as with the young red dragon, but I've decided to go in a different direction with this guy. I'm going to do a base coat with Kraken blue, especially on his wings. Then I'm going to go over that with a purple worm. His belly and neck armor, I'm thinking about doing a gelatinous blue, so a lighter blue, as well as some, but not all, of the spikes. His body is going to be glistening blood, cambion crimson, and cobalt red. So we're not going to use Dragonfire red this time, like I have on the previous two red dragons. For his teeth and some of the other spikes, I think that we're going to go with skeleton bone. And of course, I always use Lawful White and Abyssal Black to usually for the eyes and to help lighten or darken any of the inks that I feel I might need to, or to add highlights or low lights. And usually for the low lights, I generally go with a shadow. Alright, so here is a picture of an adult or a Gargantuan red dragon that I'm going to refer back to for a little bit of inspiration on occasion. One last thing that of note before we begin painting: since this is a Whiz Kids product, he is already primed and ready to be painted. This is not true with all miniatures, so whenever you are purchasing miniatures, please be careful. Please make sure that you read, make sure that it has been primed, otherwise be sure that you prime it. Okay, two brief things before we start. I'm going to use an extra large brush in order to cover as much as quickly as possible. The initial layers don't have to be pretty because we clean them up as we go along. The second thing is to remember to thin your paints. So it's usually about half and half, but you don't want it too thin so that it's dripping off and not sticking, but you want it thin enough so that it applies nice and evenly so that you don't really see any brush strokes. Okay, so before we go any further, let me just point out that you never have to paint these characters the way they look on the packaging, the way they might look in any of the DM's guides, monster manuals, or how people portray them on the internet. You can do whatever you want to with these, and with that thought in mind, it ends up that with the blue and purple and cobalt red base coats that I did for his wings and his body, made me think more of one of the gem dragons. That's GEM, as in the precious stones. You see, in D&D there are 3 types of dragons. There are the chromatic dragons, which are the evil dragons that follow Tiamat. Those are your reds, your greens, your blues, your whites, your blacks. Then you've got the metallic dragons, who are considered good. They follow Bahamut, and those include the gold, copper, bronze, silver, that type of thing. The more rare ones that you never hear about are the gem ones, such as the Amethyst dragon, which is a purple stone, which we think is what, with the base coat painting that we've done, looks more like. So, with that thought in mind, I went ahead and got a Master Series paint. This is a clear purple. We're going to give that a go for the next coat, and then for a final coat we're going to add the electric blue intense violet shifter. These are from the eccentric colors. Now generally this is an airbrush paint, however you can still brush it on with a paintbrush. It does require a few more coats from what I understand, so we'll find out, and hopefully the experiment will come out looking pretty good. Okay, so our Amethyst dragon is coming along beautifully. We've got the purple applied and have done a few more coats of the gelatinous blue. Now, in order to give you an idea of why I chose the colors that I did choose, let me show you a picture of what amethyst looks like. Okay, so first of all, here is a picture of an amethyst dragon. As you can see, lots of blues and purples involved. And here is a picture of an actual amethyst geode, which is really cool. As you can see, not quite white, almost as I chose that gelatinous blue. It seems to work really well with the color scheme. So here he is so far. Today, right now, I'm going to go ahead and touch up some of these areas with the ghostly blue and the purple. I'm going to take Beholder Purple and Purple Worm to do some highlights, and I'm going to use a ghostly blue, a really bright blue for his eyes and his mouth. So that is what's coming up next. So here he is in all of this iridescent beauty. Our amethyst dragon.